We are now going to be having 12 shiurim on 12 perakim. These are the 12 perakim of the story of mitzrayim, and I think it's very important before Pesach to get to know these 12 perakim. Now, there's stories and there's medrash and there's teachings from the Gemara that has been gotten around. To know the full story from beginning to end, what the Torah says, what we can learn from the actual psukim, and what actually happened as the Torah says it, I think is very, very important, and that's the purpose of this shir. So let's dig in. Welcome to Shir Dalid. This is Perak Dalid. So this continues. There's no break from the previous Perak, and the conversation continues. Vayan Moshe v'yemer, and Moshe answered and said, "Why is it Vayan Moshe v'yemer?" Obviously, the answer he said. Vayan means that Moshe Rabbeinu answered something different. He didn't just agree with what Hashem was saying. He had to object. He had to say something different. Whenever the Torah says the word Vayan, it means someone is trying to say something different than what was said previously. Behold, lo yaminu li, they're not going to believe in me, and they won't listen to my voice. Ki yamru, because they're going to say, Loi, no. How could we listen to you? Nira elach Hashem, Hashem appeared to you. You are not a Baal B'tachon. You actually had the experience of Hashem. So to you, Hashem is palatable. Hashem is something that appeared to you, something that you know. You don't believe in Hashem. You know of Hashem. We believe. We never heard Hashem's voice. We never saw Hashem in the world, and yet we cried out to Hashem. So we are Bali B'tachon. You are not, because you actually experience Hashem, so therefore we can't relate to you. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu feared. Vayomer elav Hashem, and Hashem said to him, Mazeh biyodcha. Tell me something. What is in your hand? Vayomer mata. He said, it's a staff. Moshe Rabbeinu was a shepherd. Of course he had a shepherd's crook in his hand. Hashem was saying, what's in your hand? Something that is expected, and that's your staff. Vayomer, and Hashem said, Hashlichehu arza, send it to the ground. Vayishlichehu arza, and he did send it to the ground. Vahilu nachash, and it became a serpent. Vayonos Moshe mipanav, and Moshe recoiled from it. Wow. Okay, I had a staff, and now the staff is a serpent. That's strange. So, V'yamar Hashem said to Moshe, Shlach yodcha, send out your hand, V'echais biz navai, and grab it by its tail. V'yishlach yadai, and he sent his hand, V'yachzek b'yadai, and he grabbed it, V'hi lemate b'kapai, and it became a staff in his hand. So, this was the first little test to Moshe Rabbeinu, little simon to Moshe Rabbeinu. Laman Ya'aminu, so that they shall believe, ki nira elecha, that because I appear to you. In other words, I understand they're not going to believe you because I appear to you. But so that they shall believe you, even though I appear to you, Hashem Melekei Avoisam, Hashem, the God of the forefathers, Avraham Melekei Yitzchak Melekei Yaakov, even though their God appeared to you, and they should believe. So how is this exactly showing that they should believe in Moshe Rabbeinu just because it's a little test? So Hashem will show Moshe Rabbeinu as follows. I understand that you don't feel like you're a man of faith because I appear to you. However, you don't even know an ounce of what my strength is, what niflois and what moisim I could do. So let me show you something very simple. What's expected is now unexpected. A lowly staff from a shepherd will turn into Egypt, because Egypt has a symbol of a nachash. Right? The Egyptians used to wear the symbol of snakes on their forehead, and pharaohs, we know that they were buried in their tombs, always had the symbol of a cobra or a python or some sort of venomous snake that was close to them. So Hashem is saying a lowly shepherd's crook will turn into Pharaoh, and I could turn it right back. So don't worry. I know that you maybe saw that I appeared to you, but you are going to be someone who I'm able to have moifsim through. And that's why they'll believe in you. They'll believe in you because even though I appear to you and you're not necessarily Baal B'tachon, you're someone who could change the ordinary into extraordinary, and you could tame mitzrayim. Okay. Vayim Hashem loi, and Hashem said to Moshe, further, Havina yodcha becheka, put your hand inside your cloak near your bosom. V'yave yadai becheka, and he put his hand inside near his abdomen. Vayotzi, when he took it out, hine behold, yadai mitzaras kishaleg. It was tzaras like snow. All of a sudden his desert tan skin was now white and it had spots. So he took, Hashem is showing, I can make someone who's healthy unhealthy. Right? Vayomer hashev yodcha el chekecha. Put it back in. Vayashav yod el cheka, and he put it back in. Vayotzia becheka, and he took it out. Vehine shava kiv sarai, and it returned back to be flesh. So Hashem was showing a second thing to Moshe Rabbeinu. He was showing that not only can I do things on objects, but I can also affect man himself. I can make someone who appears to be healthy unhealthy, and a person who appears to be healthy healthy. V'haya im lo ya'aminu lach, and if they don't believe you, lo yishmu, and they don't listen, the koil la'is harishain, to the sound of the first ice. V'haminu l'koil ha'is achrain, they're definitely going to listen to the sound of the last ice. What's the sound of an ice, and what's the sound of an ice? L'koil means voice, but also means the voice of the ice, not Moshe Rabbeinu's voice, the voice of the ice. Meaning, if you don't think that me telling them through you that Hashem, Elokei Avram, Elokei Yitzchak, Yaakov appeared to them, that's not enough, and that you're going to take them out to Eretz Zava Chol Dvash, that's not enough, then you will experience that Hashem is able to affect man on a personal level. And then your voice will change, because now you will be someone speaking of someone who understands what Hashem is capable of. V'haya im lo yaminu, and if they don't believe you, gam l'shnei ha'osos, even after these two signs, ha'ayla, v'lo yishmu l'kalecha, and they don't listen to your voice, v'lakachta mimei hayar, you're going to take some of the water from the Nile River, Vishalchafta hayavasha, and you're going to spill it onto the dry ground. Vahayu hamayim asher tikach mina'ar, and it will be the waters that you took from the Nile. Vahayu ladam bayavashas. They will then turn to blood. The water will turn to blood on the dry ground. So Hashem saying this, not that they have to keep performing miracles. B'nai Yisrael, please listen to me. We don't believe you. Okay. Staff turns into a nachash. Please believe me. No, we don't believe you. Okay, hand in, hand out, hand in, hand out. Please believe me. No, we don't believe you. Now I'm turning water into blood. No. This was for Moshe Rabbeinu. This was so that he could speak intelligently to them, someone who had seen Oisos and Moifsim, and therefore when he speaks to them, he conveys a certain degree of authenticity, and they'll believe it. So it's not that they'll believe it. Hashem is trying to show Moshe he should believe it. Moshe Rabbeinu, you have to believe that you're the messenger. You don't believe you're the messenger. I see. I can already see you don't believe you could be the messenger. But guess what? I can not only affect natural events outside a person, I can affect natural events inside a person, right, with the tzaras, and also I can affect oisim to mitzrayim. I will take the Nile waters from mitzrayim. It's a lifeblood, literally. I will turn it into blood, and you're going to start the makkos. That was the first makkah, and you're going to perform these makkos, and then, of course, they'll believe. Vayomer Moshe el Hashem. Moshe said to Hashem, Bi Adoni, please Hashem, I understand what you're saying. Lo ish dvarim Anoichi. Anoichi, we said, refers to Hashem. So he's saying, please Hashem, Loi ish devarim. I'm not a man of words. Right? Because I already said that a certain mitzri should die, and that got out, and I was not able to talk my way out of things, and I was found out, and I had to run away from Mitzrayim. So, Loi ish devarim, Anoichi is ish devarim. Hashem is someone who does something. Gam mitma v'gam mishloshem. Not in days past, and not in the future. Gam also, May us, from then, the dabercha, when you spoke, el avdecha, when you spoke to your servant, right? From when you started speaking to your servant, ki kvad peh ukvad lashon anechi. Hashem is a kvad peh and a kvad lashon. Anoichi, when Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, Anoichi Hashem, I am Hashem. So Moshe Rabbeinu is referring back to Hashem. You don't speak the way humans speak. Everything to you is cloak and dagger. I don't understand how turning water into blood is going to bring Bnei Yisrael out. I don't understand how Oisin and Oisim is going to bring Bnei Yisrael out. I don't understand it. When you speak, it's as if it's hidden and cloaked. Your language, when you speak to man, is always Ka Yamar Hashem, so said Hashem. Humans cannot understand exactly the language that Hashem is speaking. And besides, Moshe Rabbeinu was maybe perhaps saying, I'm not an expert in Lashon HaKodesh, because he grew up speaking Egyptian in Paro's palace, and probably Lashon Kodesh was maybe a second language, or a language he remembered from his youth, before he was weaned, or perhaps he learned it when he was on his travels all these other years outside of mitzrayim. But the point was, he's saying, I am not the one who is going to be able to do things that you want, because I don't understand what you want from me. And Hashem said to him, Mi sam peh adam, who gives a mouth to a person, or mi yosum ilaim, or who gives someone to be a deaf person, or cheresh, or he's mute, or pikech, or he's able to see, or iver, or he's blind. Haloi anoichi Hashem. Isn't it Hashem? Anoichi Hashem. Anoichi Hashem is the one who does it. If I'm able to give sight to the blind, if I'm able to make someone who should be able to speak, not speak, I'm able to make someone who should hear, not hear, and vice versa, obviously, make someone who can't hear to hear, all this is irrelevant, because I am Hashem. I'm the one who does it. I'm the one who created man. And if I created man, you don't need to know the full picture. You just need to follow along with what I'm doing, and then you will be able to be my shliach. I don't need someone who's a Babel Tachan. I don't need someone who's just going to have blind faith in me. I just need someone who I am going to put before Parai. So Hashem is saying, you don't think you're that great? You were being an Anav, and you don't think you're worthy to be a messenger? That's fine. I could deal with an Anav also. I could actually send a blind person. I could actually send a deaf person. I could actually send a mute, and it'll still work. Either way, it'll work. So, therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu, you're not worse off than them. You could be a messenger. Viata, and now, lech, go. The conversation's over. We're done. We're finished. Anoichi ehya impicha. Anoichi Hashem Elokecha will be inside with you in your mouth. V'hayresicha asher tadaber. And I will teach you exactly what you need to say. You will now be my puppet, and that's all I need from you. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, and that's the case, if that's the case, please, then don't shalachna, send please, but biyat regular messenger. You don't need me then. If you're just going to basically make me a puppet, and I'm just going to go, and you're going to speak through me, and I don't have to even see anything, and it's not going to take any of my own kishronos and my own kleiches, why involve me at all? Let me be at peace here in the desert. I'll be with my wife, and my son, and my sheep, and my father-in-law, and I'll just be here in peace. You don't need me to be sent to you. Vayichar af Hashem, and this is when Hashem got angry at Moshe Rabbeinu. Now it's interesting. Vayichar af Hashem and Moshe. Hashem got angry at Moshe. His wrath burned. Every time the Torah says Vayichar af Hashem, there's a punishment. What's interesting though is there's no punishment recorded over here. And I'll tell you another thing that's interesting. Later on, at the end of the 40 years of wandering in the Midbar, when Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron decide to hit the rock instead of speaking to it, and Hashem says, because of the Mei Riva, because of the waters of strife over there, that you hit the rock instead of speaking to the rock, and you didn't make the exact Hashem that I wanted you to make, and therefore you didn't give this new generation the right betachon to go into Eretz Yisrael with. Therefore, you cannot lead them into Israel. And Moshe and Aaron lost the ability to go into Eretz Canaan to turn into Eretz Israel. Why? But over there it doesn't say Vicharaf. It doesn't say Hashem was angry. How can Hashem punish them so severely when Hashem's not even angry? The answer is because it was all one the same from this. Hashem was angry at Moshe. You are my shliach. I don't need your kishroinus. I don't need your interpretations. I don't need to go call Yamar Hashem and to your own interpretation. What I need you to do is to be a faithful shliach. I'm working through you because you are someone I know who will constantly advocate for Bnei Yisrael. This is Moshe Rabbeinu, who stood up for his brothers. He just learned that he was one of the Bnei Yisrael and he went out. And he already saved one of his brothers from a mitzri, and he ordered that mitzri to die. And then he went to look at his brothers further, and he saw that some of the overseers, taskmasters, were not being honest. So he put an end to that plot, and then they threatened to expose him. But instead of Moshe Rabbeinu asking that they die for exposing him, Moshe Rabbeinu left. Instead, he left. And what did he do? He settled in Midian eventually, and then not only did he protect Yisrael's daughters from the invading shepherds, but he also gave the sheep to drink. This was a ish mitzrayim, and he loaded himself not to be a shepherd, but to feed someone else's sheep. This is someone who Hashem said, you are fit and right to lead Bnei Yisrael. However, for the task, I just need you to speak, to be a talking piece so that Bnei Yisrael can listen to me. As we see in our Sinai, what happened? Hashem did Asher Dibras on our Sinai, but everything else, Hashem then had Moshe speak to Bnei Yisrael. So Hashem is angry at Moshe Rabbeinu, and this is exactly why Hashem is angry. Because Hashem is saying, Moshe Rabbeinu, I just need you to be the mouthpiece. When I need you to be a mouthpiece, I need you to be an advocate for them. But for me, I need you to be a mouthpiece. And when you go to the rock, and you decide on your own that you're going to hit the rock, instead of speaking to the rock, you put your own ideas into what I told you, and that was the same thing you're doing now. I don't need you to interpret my words, interpret my avdos. Just go. I told you to go, pick yourself up, and go, and tell Parai that you're letting the Bnei Yisrael out. You could relate to Parai 101 because you grew up in a Pharaoh household, whether it's the same Pharaoh, whether it's a first cousin, whether it was a descendant of them, it makes no difference. You understand the Egyptian culture. You are who is going to bring them out. That's what I needed. However, Moshe Rabbeinu objected and said, no, then you don't need to send me if I'm not going to do anything on my own. And this is why Hashem got upset. And Hashem got upset Moshe. And he said, Haloi, isn't it? Aaron Echicha Levi, your brother Aaron is the Levi. Yodati, I know. Yidaberhu, because he for sure will speak. If I ask Aaron to speak, he for sure will speak, without question. The Gam, he's a Levi. He's not an Egyptian. You, although you came from Shevet Levi, he's a Levi who's an Eved. You are Levi, but you became a prince of Egypt. So don't you think I could have asked him if I just needed someone to be a puppet? Obviously, there's a reason I chose you, so don't question why I'm choosing you. However, when it comes time to do the nevuah, do it exactly as I want it. V'gam hinehu yotzei l'krasecha. Not only that, he will come out to meet you. V'racha, and he'll see you. V'samach b'liba, and he'll be very, very happy in his heart. He doesn't care that you're old, that you're younger, and that you are the one, because you're missing for all those years. So he's just happy to reunite with you. He's happy to reunite with you. He's happy if you're going to be the one who's going to take Bnei Yisrael out. He's very happy that he's your brother. V'dibarta elav, and you will speak to him. V'samta es advarim b'ficha, and you will place these words b'fiv in his mouth. V'anoichi, and I, Anoich Hashem Elokecha, Echye im picha v'im piyu, and I will be in your mouth and his mouth. V'haresi eschem, and I'll teach both of you. Es asher tason, exactly what you need to do. V'diber hu l'cha esam, and he will speak for you to the nation. So he can relate to the nation because the nation knows who he is. The nation knows Aaron Levi. They don't know Moshe Rabbeinu, the orphan, the infant who was put on the Nile, who was taken up by mitzrayim in the palace. That they don't know, but they can't relate to you, but they can relate to him. So v'dibrahu lecha el and he will speak for you to the nation. V'hayu. And he will be for you a mouthpiece. V'yatan you, Ti'eloi, you will be for him, Lelikim, a Lord. Who's Ti'eloi? Not to Aaron. You're not going to be a Lord for Aaron. You're going to be a Lord for Parai. So the truth is, when we're looking at these psukim, this is exactly the way Hashem wanted all along. It's not that Moshe Rabbeinu complained and therefore Hashem said, okay, fine, now I'm going to have Aaron be there instead of you. No. The entire time this was the plan. As a matter of fact, Aaron already is coming out to meet you. I already gave Nevuah to Aaron, or I gave him B'sat Shmaya. I gave him Ruach Chodesh, that he has to go and to meet you. So Aaron already is on the way to go meet you, and later we're going to see that Aaron Taka did meet Moshe Rabbeinu by Har Sinai. So that was always in the plan. What Hashem is angry at Moshe for is not readily accepting it. He says, by the way, just let you know, all this time you're sitting here arguing with me, I already sent that Aaron will come meet you, and Aaron's going to be your mouthpiece. He can relate to the elders. You can relate to Parai. He's going to be the mouthpiece and speak Lashon Kodesh to the Bnei Yisrael. You are going to be the one who's going to be the Lord over Parai, and you're a great duo, and you're a great team. That's it. Now I have both of you. It was the plan the entire time. It was never a contingency plan. This was the plan. But it had to be revealed to Moshe now because Moshe Rabbeinu was complaining so much. Otherwise, he would have known about it if he would have been gone right away. He actually would have met Aaron somewhere between Har Sinai and Mitzrayim, and they still would have went together. And Hashem would have said, okay, this is your brother Aaron, and you're going to work with him, and that's how it's going to work. Yes, hamata hazeh, and this mata that's a shepherd's crook, tikach biyodcha, take it in your hand. Asher taseh boy esoisos. This is what you're going to do to make the oisos, the signs. You make the signs with this mata. Moshe went. So Moshe went to Mitzrayim, and Moshe spoke to Melech Mitzrayim. And what did Melech Mitzrayim do? Kicked him out and said, I can't. Moshe, I wish I could do something for you. But the bottom line is I can't because Paro is in charge. So the Melech Mitzrayim told Moshe Rabbeinu, I can't do anything. Even Yod Chazaka, I can't take them out, exactly like Hashem said. However, I just want to let you know, Moshe Rabbeinu, Paro still has the decree for your head. And if you stay around here any longer, Mitzrayim, you are going to die because the decree that you should die because you were put in the Nile and it was found out that you were not put to death all those years ago, even though this is 80 years later. Right now you're 80 years old. You'll learn that Moshe Rabbeinu was 80 years old when he goes to Mitzrayim to speak to Parai. Even though it's 80 years later, that decree is still around and it's still being followed and someone is looking for your head. So that's it. Moshe Rabbeinu went and he failed. Vayashav, and he returned. El Yeser Chaisnoi. So he returned to Yeser, his father-in-law. Again, Yeser. At this point, his name was Yeser, was Ruel, and now it's Yeser. Later on, it's going to be Yisro, and we can know that could say Yisro Chaisnoi. But now he's Yeser. Apparently, he's transitioning from being the Kayin Midian to being a person who's going to be a man of faith for Hashem. So right now, he's Yeser. So the Yeser Chaisnoi, when he returned to Yeser, his father-in-law, and he said to him, Elchana, please, I need to go. Vashuva elachai asher Mitzrayim. I need to return to my brothers that are in Mitzrayim. Ve'era oidem chayim. And I need to see exactly what's going on, and I need to make sure that they have life. Because right now, there's not much of life can be left in them. Now that I already met with Melech Mitzrayim and already asked for them to go free. So now it's a problem, and therefore I need to go back to them on a more permanent basis. It's not just a one request. I need to go back on a more permanent basis, and I can't leave until I get them freed. I take them out like Hashem told me. Vayomer Yisroi. So Yisroi said LeMoshe. So now Yisroi, we call him Yisroi because that's what the Torah knows him for the most part. It's telling us Yasser just let him know what his name was at that time, but Yisrael, we know ultimately what his name was. So therefore, Vayemer Yisrael said, L'Moshe, Leich L'Shalom, go in peace. Go in peace, and you have my permission to leave. You can leave my flock here. I release you for my service. Go ahead and tend to your flock, your people in Goshen, in Eretz Mitzrayim. Moshe said to Moshe Rabbeinu while he's still in Midian. So Moshe Rabbeinu left Har Chorev. He went to Mitzrayim and spoke to Melech Mitzrayim. Melech Mitzrayim told him he can't do anything. Even the Chazaka, he's not going to take him out. So Moshe Rabbeinu returned to Midian. He asked his father permission to take his family, to leave the flock, and to go back to Mitzrayim. Moshe Midian, and Hashem said to Midian, Lech, go, Shuv Mitzrayim. Now it's time for you to return to Mitzrayim. Ki mesu kol anashim, because all the people have died. Hamavakshim es nafshecha. All the people that want your soul, want to kill you, have died. So even the last remnants of those, the Pharaoh, and I guess his courtesans, the last remnants of those who were behind the decree to kill all the children in the entire of Mitzrayim in the Nile, they all died out. So therefore, there's no longer a decree on Moshe Rabbeinu's head to die out, to be killed for what he did, and he no longer has to fear running away from Mitzrayim. He's able to return to Mitzrayim and know that he's not going to have to face a death sentence when he gets there. He goes straight to Thebes, straight to the upper Egypt, straight to the Pharaoh's palace, and bargain for Bnei Yisrael. Not have to go to the Goshen, the Mitzrayim district, and only talk to Melech Mitzrayim. He can talk straight to Paro himself now. So, Vayikach Moshe es Ishtoi. So Moshe took his wife, his banav, and his children. What banav? Right now we only know about Gershom. However, apparently a second son was born. A second son was born right at this time, but there's no name because the son did not have a bris. The son will have a bris very shortly. We're going to see about it. And later on, it's going to talk about what the son's name was. Vayarkivem as al chamar, and he loaded them up onto a donkey. Vayoshev Artza Mitzrayim, and they returned toward the land of Mitzrayim, not only to Mitzrayim district, but to the land of Mitzrayim, the country Mitzrayim. Vayikach Moshe also took Esmate Elikim biyada. He took the Lord's, or his lordly mata in his hand. So this mata that was a shepherd's crook is now the mata Elikim. And he took it in his hand, because Hashem already did a moifus with it. Hashem already did an ice. He turned it into a nachash, into a serpent. So Moshe Rabbeinu took that with him when he went to go. Now he can do isam and maisim in Mitzrayim. The first time he went, he spoke to King of Mitzrayim. He did not do isam maisim. Now he's going to do isam maisim. Vayomer shel Moshe, and Hashem said to Moshe, "Belech techol l'shuv Mitzrayim." He's on the way to return to Mitzrayim. Re'ei, see. See all of these moisim I'm putting into your hand. See some of they para. You can do them for para. What are these moisim that I'm putting into your hand? It's not the ois. So it's not the ois that you're going to return with these people to Har Sinai and teach them the law there. It's not the ois that you're going to take them out of Mitzrayim and bring them to Eretz Canaan. It's not even the ois that Moshe Rabbeinu had to be given to be convinced that he was the right messenger. Turning the staff into a snake, turning his hand into leprosy, turning the water into blood, which probably he did not do. He had to go to Mitzrayim to go to the Nile to get it, but he was told about at least the first makkah. So what are these maisim? All of the makkahs were then put into Moshe Rabbeinu's hand right then and there. Va'asisem lifnei Paroi, you will do them before Paroi, not Melech Mitzrayim. Originally Hashem said, go to Melech Mitzrayim to free my people. However, now Hashem is saying lifnei Paroi, before Paroi, because he already failed before Melech Mitzrayim, like was predicted. So Hashem is saying, you'll do all these moisim before Paroi. Vani achazek es liboy, I'm going to strengthen his heart, his resolve. V'lo yishalach es am, and you will not free the people. V'yimarta el Paroi, and you will say to Paroi, Ka yamar Hashem, this is what Hashem said, B'ni b'chayri Yisrael, Yisrael is like my firstborn. V'yomer elecha, and you say to him, Shalach es b'ni v'yavdeni, send out my son that he may serve me. But and he will refuse to send Bnei Yisrael. He will refuse to send Hashem's son. So he will refuse to send it. To send the nation. Hine anoichi hayrek. Behold, I will kill as bincha b'chayrecha. I will kill his your firstborn. So this was a premonition. This was a nevuah, premonition to Moshe Rabbeinu that not only was he going to do the first makkah, which was Dam, like we just talked about, he's also going to go all through the other makkahs, all the way to makkahs b'chayros. It was already told to Moshe Rabbeinu before he went to Mitzrayim. What's interesting is that Moshe Rabbeinu did not warn Parai about makkahs b'chayros. He didn't say that Hashem is going to kill the firstborn of Bnei Yisrael. However, apparently, this was told to Moshe Rabbeinu that he would say it to Parai, either to Parai directly or Parai indirectly, and it wasn't necessarily the last meeting before Makkos B'chayros. It's very possible he said at the beginning that Hashem is saying, this is Hashem, and Hashem said, take out my nation, and if we can't go to come serve me, then this is what's going to happen. All right, this is what Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu. So Moshe Rabbeinu told Moshe Rabbeinu what's going to happen all the way from Makkos Dam, all the way to Makkos B'chayros, and he already told Moshe Rabbeinu earlier that after Makkos B'chayros, he's going to take the Bnei Yisrael out and bring him to Har Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu was instructed. Vayhi b'derech b'malayim, and on the way there was a hotel or a inn, a lodging. So they stayed at this tavern, this inn. Vayishehu Hashem, and Hashem approached him. So Hashem was giving him nevuah. V'yivakesh hamisai, but while Hashem was with Moshe Rabbeinu, Parai still sought Moshe Rabbeinu's death. So even though Parai had died, right? It said all the people in Mitzrayim who wanted you dead already died out. However, apparently there was a bounty hunter that still was out there, and he desired to fulfill the contract. Vatikach Tzipora tsar, and Tzipora took a flint. Vatichrais es arlas b'na, and she went to then circumcise the foreskin of her son. This was Eliezer. So Eliezer was born before they left Midian, and they didn't have time to give him a bris milah. And this is now they stopped off by a lodging, and this is 8 days later, and now it's time for his bris milah. So Tzipora was doing his bris milah, but Taga l'raglov, and she was able to then press it up against this assassin's feet. But Toimer ki chasan damim atali, you are going to be a blood groom to me. I'm going to kill you. You're trying to go take my husband while he's meditating and talking to God, to his Lord, to Hashem. I'm going to kill you. By Yired Mimenu. So this assassin then retracted and recoiled and ran from her Azamra. So he said, Chasan damim lemulos. You are also now a blood groom of dam for bris milah. So apparently, this last remnant of the person who was seeking to get Moshe Rabbeinu, he was foiled because Tzipora had a flint and she used it on him before he was able to attack Moshe Rabbeinu, who was meditating as Hashem was appearing to him. Hashem appeared to Moshe Rabbeinu. It seemed, from the burning snare, and it seemed like Moshe Rabbeinu was up then. But most nevuah happens when a person's not up, when a person has a vision, when he's in a trance state. So Moshe Rabbeinu apparently was in a trance state, and the guy wanted to attack Moshe Rabbeinu. Tzipora saved his life, and apparently he decided to convert. And since he converted, she was also able to give him a bris, and therefore she now said that the dam bris is also upon him. So the dam bris either saved Moshe Rabbeinu because while she was giving a milah to her son, she was able to foil the plan, or because she was able to give a milah to this person as well. All right, we have a little break here, segment break, and that ends the adventure of Moshe Rabbeinu's danger before he goes to Mitzrayim. Apparently, at this point, it seems like that Tzipora then realized it was too dangerous for her to go to Mitzrayim, and she returned to her father. Because no longer does it mention that Tzipora or the kids were there in Mitzrayim. And we hear about them again when Yisro meets Bnei Yisrael in Har Sinai, at the Midbar Sinai, what does he do? He takes Tzipora and their children with him. So therefore, it seems like she left at this point, realizing it was too dangerous for her to go. So long as she's with Moshe Rabbeinu, he's in danger. So he doesn't need a distraction. So he went alone, and she went back to Midian. Vayim Hashem Aaron, and Hashem said to Aaron. Now again, we don't know the exact timeline for this because there's a break, so it could have been before or it could have been after this event, but it was probably likely coincided with these events. So before Moshe Rabbeinu left Midian for the second time, so Hashem said to Aaron, Lech likras Moshe hamidbara, go meet Moshe in the desert, right? And Moshe Rabbeinu was supposed to have gone straight from Har Sinai, straight from Har Choreva to Mitzrayim, but instead he delayed and he was talking to Hashem further. So Vayelech, so he used to meet Aaron in the Midbar, but instead Vayelech, Aaron went. Vayivkshehu Bahar Elikim. He met Moshe Rabbeinu near the Har Elikim. Vayishakloi, and he kissed him. And he said, "That's it. I'm your older brother. I'm going to help you. We're going to be a team, and I'm going to help you with Pari and with Mitzrayim and with the Bnei Yisrael." Vayagid Moshe Aaron, so Moshe told Aaron, and it's called the Hashem as Asher Shlachoi, everything that Hashem said, and that he sent him. There's called Oises Asher Tzivahu. I told him all about the signs that he commanded him. Vayelech Moshe Aaron, and Moshe Aaron went. Vayaspu as called Ziknei Bnei Yisrael. They went and they gathered all the Ziknei Bnei Yisrael. Right? Hashem said you're going to gather the Ziknei Bnei Yisrael, and then you're going to speak to the nation, and they're going to help you speak to the nation. That's what he did. He went and he gathered all the Ziknei Bnei Yisrael. Vayidaber Aaron is called Dvarim, exactly like we talked about before. That it was going to be Aaron who was going to talk to the Ziknei Yisrael on behalf of Moshe because he knew Lashon HaKodesh much better, and Moshe Rabbeinu was one who's going to intercede with Parai. Vaydaber Aaron is called Dvarim. He said all these things. Ashadibar Hashem Moshe. That Hashem said to Moshe, Vayasa Oisais La'enei, and they did the Oisais in the eyes of the people. What Oisais they do in the eyes of the people? So the next pasuk is clarity. It's not the Oisais of the staff to a snake. It's not the Oisais of the hand into the cloak, and it's not the Oisais of the. But it is actually, in a way, the Oisais of turning the Nile water into blood, because the Oisais that Aaron and Moshe did before Bnei Yisrael, for the was not only the of Bnei Yisrael, but the of the entire Eretz Mitzrayim, and those were the 10 Makkahs. So they spoke to the Ziknei Yisrael, they gathered Ziknei Yisrael, and they spoke to the and they did the 10 Makkahs. The Yamein and the believed. They didn't need extra convincing. They believed right away. The Yishmu, and when they heard, Ki Pakar Hashem is Bnei Yisrael, that Hashem still considered and remembered and counted on Bnei Yisrael, v'chira es anyam, and he saw their affliction, vayikdu v'yishtachu, they kneeled and they bowed down to the ground. So what is this telling us? This is when we're going to see in Parakid Beis, this is what happened at the end when they went free from Mitzrayim, that they all went ahead and they thanked Hashem and they bowed to the ground. So now Torah is giving a little synopsis after Hashem gave all this instruction to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he told about Moshe Rabbeinu going to Melech Mitzrayim, and it told about Moshe Rabbeinu returning to Midian, and it told about Moshe Rabbeinu going back to Mitzrayim and meet. So therefore, it gives a little synopsis that Moshe Rabbeinu met Aaron closer to Har Elikim than the Midbar because Moshe Rabbeinu had delayed, and they went to Mitzrayim together, and they gathered the people, and they spoke to Melech Mitzrayim, and they were rejected, and Moshe Rabbeinu had to return, and then Moshe Rabbeinu came back to Mitzrayim, and then they did the Oisais in front of all the people, and one of the Oisais, that's what we're going to speak about soon. Soon, we're going to talk about the 10 Makkahs, and that's what the Oisais did in front of all the people. The people believed, and when they heard that Hashem still considered them, and they bowed down to the ground, and that was geulas Mitzrayim in a nutshell. Now the Torah is going to take a step back from this little short synopsis and give us a much more detail of all the events that happened between returning to Mitzrayim and taking them out.